My name is Ben McCormack. I'm the editor of squaremeal.co.uk restaurant and bar guide. We're here in conjunction with London Partners to talk about London's exciting restaurant scene. Today the focus of our talk is why London has such a vibrant and multicultural restaurant scene. We're thrilled to have, we were meant to have 4 representatives. We shall have 3 soon. Chef Alfred Prasad from Tamarind restaurant is on his way. But if I'd like to welcome Atul Kochhar and Vivek Singh. Atul, you headhunted to come to Tamarind from the Oberoi New Delhi Hotel. And Vivek, you came from Jaipur to the Cinnamon Club. What was it that attracted you to come and work in London?
When I was cooking at Rajvilas, I had been cooking only for 7 or 8 years before, at that point. And I was very keen cook. I wanted to cook for the rest of my life, but I just couldn't face up to cooking the same kind of food that we were doing back in India then. I just felt like there was not much new to do, and it felt like it needed a bit more elbow room, a bit more creativity, a bit more innovation. Just that sort of that spirit of experimentation, of pushing boundaries, and the opportunities weren't there. So when I was looking to do other things and trying to take Indian food to a slightly different level or try to do something different, a number of places came to mind. But then, there were quite a few cities that came to mind. Somebody suggested Prague, somebody suggested Antwerp for some reason. Don't ask me why. Somebody suggested London, New York, LA, and so on and so forth. You only needed to scratch beneath the surface, and it became quite evident to me that if there was a platform on which modern Indian cuisine could be sort of built upon, it was most certainly London, by far the first choice. Not because Indian food wasn't popular, not because it wasn't successful, not because there wasn't a need for. I mean, all of those things aside, this was an international audience that was very well integrated, very well interested. There was a lot of interest, there was a lot of interaction, and there was a lot of engagement already there. So it wasn't a case of teaching people from the very grassroots or trying to create an awareness of how Indian food was going to be. So there wasn't a platform that was already there with the likes of Atul and with the likes of Vineet and stuff who'd been doing some work here before. This was the multicultural, the diversity, the multicultural nature of this city was one of the big draws why one would pick London over anything else.
I was cooking in Oberoi hotels, and fairly same reason. Though one good thing working for Oberoi's was that we were given exposure to different cuisines, which I find very difficult within the UK. If you work for a hotel group, you either have French or Italian principle only to look at. And one of the greater things working in India was I was exposed to Italian, Chinese, Thai. In fact, any cuisine I thought of. If it was available within the hotel, I could go and train in that. And that was one of the great things. My father ran a catering business, so it was very natural for me to follow his footsteps and take over catering. I didn't want to join his business. He was a tough man to work with, so I decided to do my own. No, it's true. Wish you worked for him. And I was looking ways to enhance my own cooking and improve my style. And I worked under a chef. He was a German chef, and he had worked across the globe, very well experienced, very experienced person. And he kind of enticed me to step out of Oberoi's and India, go abroad and work there. And as I was looking, and he did say, one of the most exciting cities in the world in the next 5 or 10 years would be London. So why don't you head towards London and see what you can do? Because A, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Indian food is already there. And the kind of style you have, the knowledge you have gained working for different cuisines, you can implement that. And that's what I did.
I think the situation at Indian hotels 10 years, 12 years ago was that there did not seem to be the kind of progression that we would have expected Hotels were not springing up across the country as they are now, and it was a bit of a bottleneck situation, which helped my decision to take on this challenge. Having arrived in London, I must say the very first instructions I was given by the directors of Group Chutney Mary was that the perception of Indian food here in the UK is quite different to what you might be used to back home, and you have to be really controlled on your spicing. That was something that did not quite appeal to me, so initially I was quite disappointed to serve what I would consider diluted Indian food. I struggled for 2 years trying to change that perception at Veeraswamy. It didn't quite work because the directors believed that it had to be toned down. 2 years down the line, I got this fantastic opportunity to move to Tamarind, and it was all Christmas presents in one, really, because the food at Tamarind was as unadulterated as it could be. It was exactly how it was done in India, very traditional recipes, very authentic tastes, and after the 2 years I spent at Veeraswamy, I think it was that break-free moment for me, and I was more than delighted to be able to showcase to our customers in London.
And would you say, the three of you, that London has better Indian restaurants than you would find in India itself? Who's going to put their head above the parapet on this one first?
I will take the hit, whichever way it comes. I do personally feel that London definitely leads when it comes to Indian food. We have certainly paved the way. And it's no fault of India or no advantage to London, but I think the way markets are organized, the way ingredients are kept in very particular order, we follow the seasonality very closely. We work very close to Mother Nature. In India, it breaks my heart to say that, unfortunately, the market is not organized. You cannot get one particular kind of meat through the season. One day you will buy cherry tomatoes, next day you will go get beef tomatoes in the market. So that varies the product hugely. And I think the systems are the ones that are lacking, and we have great advantage of being in London that we have the systems. And when it comes to spices, yes, India does get the spices firsthand, but let's not forget there's a history of 400 years with the United Kingdom collecting spices from world over, and some of the best ones. So we have some of the best spice houses here who have been acquiring spices from world over. So yes, we are not short of it. We get some of the best spices in the world here. And hence, we have managed to, with the technology, knowledge, seasonality, and the organized sector that food is in this country, we have managed to push ahead. And I'm very happy to say that. I get lots of Indian chefs coming from India to train with me so that they can go back and inspire the similar kind of cuisine there.
What part have Indian restaurants played in the boom of the last 20 years?
Well, what certainly helped is the UK's love for Indian food. And it is true that spices, especially chili, does have an addictive property. Capsaicin is addictive, there's no doubt about that. It releases endorphins or feel-good hormones. And with 11 or 12,000 Indian restaurants in the country, it's not surprising that it has gained that popularity over the years. I think what we've seen in our restaurants is certainly over the past 10 years, our customers' tolerance levels for spices has certainly improved. Gone are the days when Veeraswamy used to dilute their products to suit a British palate. You are actually challenged now to match exactly the way it is in India. And a lot of our American diners as well, having been used to Mexican food, can tolerate spices to a great extent. And I always credit the early pioneers. Of course, Veeraswamy was just one of those, but a lot of mom and pop shops, curry houses that opened out in every street corner over the past 70 years in the UK certainly made it a lot easier for us chefs to come in and take it up a few notches in terms of fine Indian food. But popularizing the cuisine in the UK was something that was pioneered by these mom and pop restaurants that really helped pave the way for us.
Would you agree with that, that we have the most varied and exciting because of that restaurant scene on the planet?
Absolutely. I think it is well accepted among industry peers that London is the gastronomic capital of the world, and it's certainly that diversity that makes it right on top in terms of cuisine. You're very right in saying that in terms of a restaurant or a supper club, there is a very good chance that cuisines from every corner of the world can be found in London. And what also helps is the fact that ingredients from every corner of the world as well are found in London, and communities from almost every part of the world as well. So all those elements add into enriching the food here in London, whether it's home cooked or at a restaurant or at a supper club. Certainly, definitely the gastronomic capital of the world.
It's not just the diversity or the breadth, if that makes sense, that makes London unique. It's also the depth. So you don't just find Japanese and Thai and Chinese and Indian and whatever restaurants for the sake of it. You find very good ones. And you don't just find very good Japanese and Thai and Chinese and Indian and what have you. You find very good ones at all levels. And that is something that's very hard to beat. It's not something that any city can just decide one day that I want to be a global capital of food, and therefore this is my 10-year plan, and therefore I'd like to see, whether it's Malaysia, whether it's Abu Dhabi or whatever, Singapore, to be seen as a global capital of food. It's not something that can happen overnight, because it needs a lot more. It needs ingredients, it needs access, it needs interaction, it needs communities, and it needs that interest. And that is what makes London unique. It doesn't have to try too hard to be or to become. It is the global food capital of the world.
The hotel and restaurant scene in India dissuades them from making the move like we did 5 or 6 years ago. So the challenge really is to develop the next generation within the UK, whether it's a Britisher learning to cook Indian food. It doesn't need to be an Indian for sure. And I think the new immigration rules certainly have forced our hand into that direction, which is great. I mean, I don't believe you have to be an Indian chef.